The tale opens with Gink, the main character, being driven to school by her father. During the car ride, they share a lighthearted conversation about their favorite foods and what her dad plans to do after dropping her off. This moment highlights the close bond they share. Once they arrive at school, Gink unexpectedly dashes into the backyard and leaps over the fence. It turns out that she and her friend Palm are on a mission to follow her father, whom they suspect of cheating with another woman. Gink is portrayed as naive, impulsive, and determined. As they pursue him, Gink grows more suspicious when she notices that instead of heading to the office, her father is heading to the airport. Palm tries to reassure her, suggesting that her dad might have work to attend to. However, Gink's curiosity gets the better of her, and she borrows some money from Palm, insisting that he join her on this adventure. They eventually track her father to a hotel. Gink was on her way to her father's room when Palm stopped her. They ultimately decided to observe from the adjacent room. Through the glass, Gink couldn't hear anything, but Palm picked up on the presence of a woman. Palm attempted to hide this fact, but Gink quickly realized he was being dishonest and left in tears. On the plane, Gink was inconsolable. Unable to bear her distress, Palm embraced her and confessed his love. Gink was taken aback, believing their bond was purely friendship. However, Palm clarified that he loved her as a friend. A few days later, Gink informed Palm that she was seeing one of her friends, leaving him stunned as he didn't think she was a good match for that person. Yet, this wasn't the only issue. Palm was actually feeling jealous of their relationship. Their friendship continued to flourish as they sang, dined, and vacationed together. Fast forward to 2019, at a wedding, Palm encountered three men who shared a similar experience, all of whom were seen as friends by their crushes. All the guys talked about their experiences with unrequited love, with some having friends for a year, others for 3, and a few even for 5 years. However, everyone is impressed by Palm, who has managed to stay in the friend zone for a remarkable 10 years. Reflecting on Palm's bittersweet past, he and Gink were close during their high school years. As time went on, their friendship deepened. Palm had a few girlfriends along the way, but none of those relationships lasted because his heart was still set on Gink. Meanwhile, Gink faced her own heartbreak when she broke up with a classmate who had cheated on her. Throughout Gink's emotional struggles, Palm was always there, supporting her as a loyal friend. After dealing with her father's infidelity and his recent affair, Gink has lost faith in love. Yet, she still holds onto the hope that one day she will meet a man who can make her believe in love again. At a gathering, Gink introduces her new boyfriend Ted to Palm. Ted is everything Gink has ever wanted, and many believe he is her soulmate. While caught up in singing, Gink accidentally tumbles off the stage. Both Ted and Palm rush to her side. Unfortunately, Gink has sprained her leg quite badly, necessitating a trip to the hospital. Since only one person can accompany her, Ted and Palm quickly compete to get into the car. However, Gink chooses Ted to be by her side, leaving Palm feeling disappointed as he watches them drive away. Later, Gink reaches out to Palm, who is in Myanmar with his girlfriend, to share that she is in Malaysia trying to gather her thoughts because she suspects she might be pregnant. Alarmed by the news, Palm immediately flies from Myanmar to Malaysia to support his friend. Once he arrives, Palm takes Gink for a pregnancy test. After the results come back negative, both of them breathe a sigh of relief and share in the joy of the moment. Palm is curious about Ted's absence. It turns out that Ted is busy working on songs with various Asian artists. Knowing that Ted often collaborates with talented singers, Gink begins to feel jealous and suspicious. Determined to uncover the truth, she searches for evidence. One day, she discovers a receipt from a restaurant in Malaysia where Ted had dinner. Gink then asks Palm to help her investigate the receipt. Although Palm points out that the receipt isn't solid proof of any wrongdoing, Gink is adamant about finding out more. When they arrive at the restaurant, Gink questions the waiter about whether a female singer was dining with Ted. The waitstaff start blaming each other, leaving Gink frustrated and unable to confirm her suspicions. Seeing his best friend upset, Palm tries to soothe Gink with comforting words. Even though Gink can be a bit difficult and headstrong, she is aware of Palm's true feelings. However, rather than destroying their friendship, Palm decides to keep his emotions to himself. One day, Ted was hanging out with Gink in Cambodia, and they seemed to be getting along well, easing Gink's doubts. However, that night, Gink stumbled upon a condom in Ted's pants. The following day, Gink decided to follow Ted, who was heading to Hong Kong first. At the airport, Palm spotted Gink in a rush and, without hesitation, decided to accompany her once again. Once they arrived in Hong Kong, Ted unexpectedly called Gink. Without missing a beat, Palm pretended to be a dim sum vendor to convince Ted that Gink was in Thailand. Once more, Gink's worries seemed unfounded, as the Hong Kong singer rumored to be involved with Ted turned out to have no special connection with him. However, it was a shock when Gink saw Ted in a car with an unknown woman. Palm, understanding the situation, realized that Ted was indeed cheating, yet he chose to keep this from Gink to spare her feelings. Despite Palm's efforts, Gink continued to search for proof, and ultimately her heart shattered when her fears about Ted's infidelity were confirmed. Palm, who was always by Gink's side, could only offer her comfort. While they were on the bus, Gink suddenly leaped up and clung to a billboard. Palm was taken aback and quickly asked the driver to reverse the bus to prevent Gink from falling. Hanging there, Gink continued to cry sadly. Eventually, Gink decided to let go and wrapped her arms around Palm tightly. This prompted everyone on the bus to applaud. After that, Gink wanted to relax at the beach, but Palm still had one more flight to complete, so he needed to finish his task first. However, Palm wouldn't be true to his name if he didn't make sacrifices for Gink. Once his work was finished, Palm hurried over to check on Gink, and he found her in quite a state. With patience, Palm helped clean up Gink's messy makeup and awkwardly applied some lipstick on her. To lighten the mood, he suggested they go for a walk. As they strolled, it felt like they were on a date. Gink joked that if she were Palm's girlfriend, she would frequently check his phone and worry about other women. They laughed together, imagining what it would be like if they were actually dating. In the afternoon, despite the pain Ted had caused her, Gink was determined to answer his call. Palm, observing his best friend's expression, found it hard to comprehend Gink's feelings, especially since she hadn't shared her issues with Ted. As the tension grew between them, they began to develop deeper feelings for one another. Out of the blue, Gink invited Palm to hang out in her room, leaving him taken aback. He quickly grabbed some snacks from a nearby store. Once they arrived, Gink surprised Palm by suggesting they take a bath with beer. Trusting her, Palm went along with her idea. Just as they were about to share a kiss, Gink suddenly broke down in tears, overwhelmed by thoughts of Ted. This emotional outburst pushed Palm to his limits, making him feel like he was merely a temporary escape for Gink during her troubles with her boyfriend. In a moment of honesty, he confessed that his actions stemmed from his love for her, which left Gink astonished. She didn't want to lose the friend who had always supported her. Before Palm exited the room, Gink assured him that she would end things with Ted and promised to meet him at the temple afterward. Gink finally had a chance to meet Ted, where she shared all her doubts about his infidelity. In response, Ted opened up and confessed to everything, emphasizing that his love for Gink was the most important thing. He expressed his desire to keep her in his life and asked for her forgiveness for his past mistakes. That evening, filled with hope, Palm waited for Gink at the temple. When Gink arrived, she revealed that she was willing to give Ted another shot. She also mentioned that if she pursued a relationship with Palm, there was no certainty they wouldn't end up breaking apart, which would ultimately ruin their friendship. Gink was determined to avoid that outcome. However, Palm felt trapped in a never-ending cycle and ultimately decided to walk away from Gink. In the film's closing scene, Gink is seen waiting at Palm's usual cycling spot, but Palm tries to ignore her, desperate to move on. Suddenly, Gink runs after him, declaring that she has ended things with Ted. Gink has expressed her desire to marry Palm in the near future. This news brought immense joy to Palm, as his decade-long wait had finally come to fruition. It turns out that the wedding ceremony attended by the three men in the beginning was actually the celebration of Palm and Gink's union. The three friends were both surprised and thrilled for Palm's marriage, and their own romantic pursuits became even more passionate. The story of Gink and Palm's friendship concludes on a heartwarming note, proving that Palm's 10 years of dedication and sacrifice were truly worthwhile and they had a happy ending. If you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing for more content like this. Don't forget to turn on notifications and give us a thumbs up to support the channel. Thanks for watching.